What up, everybody? My D checking in here. I saw coming down the news wire that amongst many of the Young Thug leaked conversations out there, Kendrick's name came up. And Kendrick's name came up in the context of features. Now, on this channel, we've spoken about Kendrick's feature game before and how it stacks up with the rest of his peers. Now, we're in a very feature heavy era. We're in a collaborative heavy era. Even though the group settings or whatnot are lower than ever, I think, talking about having groups in hip hop. I was talking to Super about this. He was like, the new groups are basically the collabo albums and the collaborative efforts and the collabos that, come on features and things like that. And I thought that was a very astute observation when it comes to how this era views group music and making music as a group. But we got a bunch of solo acts running around here to do a lot of collaborative stuff. Now, saying all that to say, Kendrick doesn't do a whole lot of features in comparison to his peers, but when he does do features, it matters. Now, Young Thug criticized the fact that, you can't pay Kendrick enough just to get on the track. It has to be more than that. And he also was criticizing the fact that Kendrick saves, at least for at that time frame or whatever was going on at that time, Kendrick saves all his feature energy for Baby King, his cousin. And they that's his artist as well, I believe. So again, that makes sense. Now, as far as like Kendrick being very selective when it comes to his features, I have no problem with that. Again, Kendrick's resume is what it is. And Kendrick, once again, is one of those MCs who is an album maker. And you can tell when he creates, he's creating from an inspired place. Now, obviously, this leaked phone call had to be before GNX, right? GNX was a time where he basically went out there and did some of those things that people say that he doesn't do. And I mean, in my personal opinion, I can't say that, he got great results as far as charting and all of that, but just from a critical acclaim standpoint, I like when Kendrick's by himself or working within his element or working within people who are in his chamber where things are organic. And not to say GNX wasn't organic, but again, it was a lot of featuring there and it was a lot of sounds that I know Kendrick is probably trying them out and all that, but they weren't, sounds that me as a listener, I felt were organic to him based on the artist that I know Kendrick to be from his previous efforts. Now, this could be what he's growing into, not sure, but again, that's just my observation based on his catalog. Now, saying all that to say, I do think that Kendrick tr- ah, uh, paved his own path. What's the phrase I'm looking to blaze his own trail? That's the phrase I was looking for. Kendrick blazes his own trail and he really doesn't, latch on to different sounds and sonics that are going on at the time. And so a lot of the features may sound forced for him, and especially when he was in the middle of his run and making this organic music from, Good Kid, Mad City to Pimp a Butterfly to Damn to, I mean, even, Mr. Morale was something that he wanted to do, even though I don't think that it matches up with, the rest of his catalog, in my personal opinion. But again, features may not be for Kendrick like that, and that's okay. And I think that when you look at music from just oh, I got to go out here and get features, feature, catch, cash a check, and this and that, I think that it does lose its organic nature, and it kind of becomes a hustle, if you will. And I do respect the fact that Kendrick doesn't look at this music thing as a hustle when it comes to features and things of that nature. Because let's be honest, like Kendrick could go out here and really be, cracking people over the head for features and bread like that. Like he could really go out there and do a bunch of features and just cash some checks. And, that would be that. But he refuses to do that, obviously. I mean, even in that phone call from somebody, I guess, who reached out to him for a feature, it wasn't, it was declined, if you will, for lack of a better term. And Kendrick's gonna stay true to what he does as an artist, and you can't put a price tag on that. And you know what? I gotta appreciate that, especially in an era where we got a lot of people who would go out there and just, work with whoever just so they could stay, you know, on the streaming chart, just so they could chart, they can get their streams up, and they can just get feature money. But, Kendrick doesn't do that. And really, the criticism that Young Thug was giving him, I honestly think for the people who look at this from a creative standpoint, it really gave more credence to who Kendrick Lamar is and what Kendrick Lamar does. And I think he's guiding or attempting to guide the game in the right direction because I think hip hop is way too feature heavy right now. And not to say people, shouldn't do features. I love features and I love the fact that we do see people collabing with each other in ways that we wish we could have seen in previous eras, but it does get excessive. And Kendrick staying in that lane and not, joining the masses who are willing and ready to do a song with any and everybody. I think that adds to who he is. But again, this was before GNX, I believe, this phone call, and it was before he jumped on the Playboy Cardi stuff. But again, I think that those are cool little surprises and unexpected things based on what his resume is and who he's built himself up to be as an artist. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, man. Hit like and subscribe. Do features do not, I'm sorry, how do I word this? Does not being a feature heavy artist hurt Kendrick, or do you think that adds to his legacy? I want to hear what you guys got to say about that in the comments, man. Hit like and subscribe, and I'm gonna talk to you guys soon. All right.